you'll feel, oh, I did not spend any time on X, Y, or Z, and now I'm a terrible, terrible person because I have neglected this for too long. But a planning system can help. How's it going with all your half-empty planners and journals? Good? Yeah, I thought so. This is a very, very common ADHD thing, and I think that it is not unsolvable. What you need is to just make sure that your planning systems align with your needs. And in this video, I'm going to give you the foundations you need to build a planning system that you will come back to time and time again. I'm Susanna, I'm an ADHD writing coach, and I would love to give you the 7 big needs that you can build a strong, sustainable planning system on. When you have a headache, you grab a painkiller. If you can't read something very well, you probably grab your reading glasses. And what you want to do is you want to build a planning system that does the same thing. When you have a specific need, you know exactly what tool to grab to fulfill that need. And I think that there are 7 needs that can be the foundation of a planning system. So let's dive right in. The first of these needs is very obvious, and it's probably the one that you were taught planning with, and that is to keep track of appointments. Now, we all know that if we only rely on our memory to keep track of these appointments, we're probably not going to show up for any appointment at all. So often this is the first thing that we build a planning system for. We want something to keep track of our appointments. There are different planning tools that you can use for that. Of course, you can use a physical planner to keep track of your appointments, and that is how I started. That's how I was taught as a teenager. But I actually think that when it comes to keeping track of your appointments, a digital system can be a little bit more helpful. The reason is that if you put it in your physical planner, then you need to be lucky enough to look in your planner at a certain time so that you will be reminded of the appointment and when you will have to leave to meet it. If you have a digital planner, however, the planner itself can send you reminders to leave on time, how long it will take you to get there, etc. So you can absolutely keep track of your appointments in a physical system, but in this case, a digital system might be more helpful. And that means that anytime you have a new appointment that you need to keep track of, or anytime you wonder when your next appointment is, you can go to your digital planner, which will tell you exactly what is going on. The second need that you might have that a planning system can help with is a little bit less intuitive. It's not something that we immediately associate with planning, and that is to make time for the things that you are neglecting. I'm sure that there's a lot of times when at the end of a day, a week, or a month, you'll feel, oh, I did not spend any time on X, Y, or Z, and now I'm a terrible, terrible person because I have neglected this for too long. But a planning system can help. We will talk a little bit more about reminding yourself of your priorities later. But one thing that you can also do with a planning system is actually set time aside for these things that you are forgetting to do. Now, this can be done in either a physical or a digital planning system. Again, if you want to get reminders that you're supposed to be doing this, a digital planning system can be more helpful, but a physical planning system can just work just as well. And that means that a bullet journal or a physical planner or a notebook can do the job just as well. Now, the third part of a planning system, the third need that you might have that you need a planning tool for, is to keep track of your to-dos. If your task list lives only in your head, you're going to feel completely overwhelmed, you're going to be forgetting things, and you're going to feel worse about yourself for not doing those things that you think you should do. So what you want to do is you want to keep your to-do list outside of your brain, and you want to do that with a physical or a digital planning system. There are gamified task management apps. There's so much out there, and it doesn't really matter which tool you choose. The only thing that matters is that you make a decision and that you know that from now on, if there's anything to do with tasks, which tool to grab. So those are the first 3 of the 7 planning needs that a planning system can help fulfill for you. If this is helpful, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, because if you do, you will be reminded every time I put out a video about getting things done with ADHD. Let's go back to your need. The fourth need that a planning system can help with is to track your progress on projects. And this is pretty new. I think it's actually important for us ADHDers to have a sense of progress on the big projects that you can't finish easily and quickly. If you're working on a big project such as a book, for example, it can feel like you're not making any progress at all because your book isn't finished yet. Or if you track your progress based on word count, you might feel you haven't made any progress because you have spent the whole week researching things or editing things rather than producing new words. So if you can keep track of your progress, then that means that you will feel better about the way that you are showing up for your writing practice. It will help with your self-esteem. It will help with all of this self-doubt that you're experiencing on a daily basis. So what you want to do is you want to start tracking your progress on projects. Now you can do this manually. For example, you can create a progress tracker in a bullet journal or in your physical planner. Personally, I keep my task list and my project lists in a database system called Notion. And that means that every time I complete a task on a project, my progress bar is automatically updated. And I can see that I'm making progress on a project even if the project isn't done yet. Again, doesn't matter what tool you choose, as long as you know that any progress you make is tracked with this specific tool. Now, the fifth need that you have that a planning system can fulfill is to track how much time you spend on which activities or life areas. Now, this might seem a little bit far-fetched, and you might think, okay, Susanna, you're just trying to turn me into a data nerd who tracks everything. But there's logic to my madness, I promise. Now, when you start tracking how much time you spend on each project or life area, you have a lot clearer picture of your priorities. You have a lot clearer picture of which things are taking more time than they should and which things are taking less. Which things are you neglecting and which things are time sucks for you. Now, if you start tracking this, you will have much more control over where you spend your time. You're going to feel more in control of your schedule and more in control of your project. And that can be incredibly helpful. And that easily leads us to the sixth need that a planning system can help with, and that is keeping track of your priorities. Now, we all know that when you are working on something and you're completely engrossed in that task or project, it feels like the most important thing in the whole wide world. But when you take a step back and you look at the bigger picture, it might not really be that much of a priority at all. In fact, it might not help you work towards that dream life you're envisioning for yourself. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you keep the priorities visible for yourself. You need to establish them beforehand, before you're engrossed in any task. And make sure that you are constantly reminded of what your priorities are so you don't have to keep it in your head. Now, I do this in my physical planner. My physical planner tells me what my priorities are for the month, for the week, and sometimes even for the day. But you can also do this in a digital planner, and bullet journals are great places for that. So again, it doesn't matter what tool you use, as long as you know that when you are unclear on your priorities, what tool to grab to remind yourself. And in this case, it might be helpful if you come up with a tool that will always be visible to you. It doesn't even have to be a more traditional planning system. It might just be a printed out piece of paper with a keyword that you put on your wall so you can see it every single day. That was number 6, and that means that there is one left. And this one is a little bit less left field, but you might still have a lot of resistance to it. So the 7th need that you have, and that you might not be aware of yet, is to track your habits. Now, if you want to make progress, if you want to achieve a big goal or change your life in a meaningful way, then that means there are things that you're going to have to do every single day or every single week. Now, what you want to do is you want to start tracking these habits. The reason why you want to track them rather than having them just live in your head is, again, that it will really help you with your self-esteem and how you feel about these habits and about yourself. If you see, for example, that even though you skipped your habit yesterday, you did do it the 6 days before, you'll feel a lot better about having missed it yesterday. But it's also true that you probably have a lot of habits that you want to engage in, a lot of things that you want to do every single day or week. For example, after you've brushed your teeth, you can reward yourself by checking it off in your habit tracker, which then reminds you of all the other habits that you're supposed to be doing today that haven't yet been checked off. Now, a habit tracker can live in a lot of different places. Mine live in my physical planner, which lives on a book stand on my desk so I can see it every single day. But there's also a lot of beautiful gamified habit trackers out there, which again have the added benefit that they will send you reminders so that you don't have to remember updating it yourself. So those were my 7 needs that a planning system can help with. This is how you take your needs and you turn them into a system that actually works for you and that you keep going back to time and time again. Just like I said with the reading glasses and the painkillers. If you have a problem, you know exactly which tool to grab. Now, if this was helpful to you, you're going to love these other videos about planning and ADHD. So check these out and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.